It's Lance Graulich, Franchise Envy. It must be Wednesday, and I'm doing a solo episode today. Have you ever asked a successful business owner why? Why did they select their particular franchise business? And after talking to so many franchise owners over the years, I have the answers to those questions. In fact, I've distilled it down to eight things, 8 reasons that people selected the franchise that they did. So let's dive right in. Number 1, proven track record. Some sort of track record of success. Doesn't mean you're a 500 territory or 500 location business. Could be much, much smaller. Could be 20 locations in 5 states. And maybe they're all different cities and sizes of states. So there is some sort of proof of concept that gets you really comfortable. And all of my clientele certainly has a different level of risk tolerance. So some people want a little bit of a bigger brand. But remember, if the brand's too big, you'll be locked out. I got into Wingstop when it was tiny. Now, I still have people asking me about Wingstop. Well, guess what? No shot at this point. And what do people also look for regarding track record is that strong unit economics. And where you get that really is with validation. Every great brand, when you get deep in the process, you'll have an opportunity to speak to existing franchisees about their experience. My favorite part of the process, and you can ask them anything. Things like, what's your profitability like? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? And you start to pick up on clues or cues that people are not happy, even if they're not telling you. But the bottom line is talk to multiple people. Validation is the magical piece where you get to really drill down to understand how happy people are in this business and how much money there is to be made. More importantly, how happy you're going to be picking your first business. Investment level. Your investment level and budget need to work hand in hand here. Very important. Are you looking for a $200,000 business, a $500,000 business? 20% down on an SBA loan. So a lot of my people have 50 to 75, maybe even 100,000 cash. Work with plenty of people with just 25,000 cash. Not a problem with that. But the reality is that is always a consideration, is what is the budget? You can always add more down the road, but there's always a starting point. And regarding that budget, if you are going to be a semi-absentee owner, part-time owner, keep your job, you're going to hire a manager or a general manager. So you're going to need to pay that extra salary at least for the first year until you dive in, and maybe you won't even dive in for a couple of years. More on that in the next one, but basically that's something to consider within your budget, is if you're going to stay full-time at your job, or are you going to run the business full-time? Lifestyle fit and your role, the owner's role. This is item number 3 here we're talking about, and it's very important. If you are going to be a full-time owner-operator, wonderful. Most people think that's all that exists in franchise ownership. But franchise ownership, there is a playbook, there is a system, there is a blueprint to follow. And there are other people, as I mentioned, validation earlier, you'll hear about the track record of success, or it's not a good fit for you. But you can be a part-time owner. If you're going to be a part-time owner, great. You're just going to have some more money, but you have to pick which you're going to do. There are brands that won't accept you as a part-time owner, and they want you full-time in the business. Their system might not have the training or the capabilities to support a manager. They want to support the owner who is invested in this particular business. But trust me, there are both options. You can be full-time, you can be part-time or semi-absentee or semi-involved in this business. Keep in mind, some of the lifestyle fit, people come to me and say, I don't even want staff. I'm going to do it all myself. No big deal. I'll run it full-time. Other people say, I'll have a small staff, 5 or less, and other people do not care. So if you're going to get into a home care brand, which is great, I do a lot of home helpers deals or home well, you need a big staff if you're going to grow a multi-million-dollar business. You might have 150 caregivers, but if you're doing 4 or 5 million a year, what do you care? You're just going to be managing employees, and by then you'll have a GM in place and other admin to support your staff. 4, no experience necessary. Yes, that is incredibly appealing. A lot of people aren't aware that for any brand, well, probably 95% of the brands I represent, there's truly no experience necessary. However, your skills, whatever they were, maybe you had some sales experience in tech, maybe you manage people, you've hired people, you worked in HR, you worked in marketing, whatever it might have been, your skills are transferable to this business, which means you will do well. And whatever you don't know, you're going to learn. I talk frequently about my friend that was bald, didn't know how to cut hair, and somehow was very successful with 19 Great Clips hair salons, and he started with one. Industry trends. Everybody that's successful in a business will tell you they wanted to make sure they got into a business that had a future. They looked long and hard through different categories or sectors to understand them. And that is an important part to get yourself educated. That's also where I come in, more on that later. But whether it's home improvement, senior home care, wellness brands, restaurants, there are a lot of sectors to look at, but don't just jump on the next trend. Frozen yogurt, for example, that was a trend. That was more of a fad. Not everybody can eat frozen yogurt every single day. Maybe some of you out there can. I certainly can't. But when something becomes too trendy, it might not stick around, and I will help you with that. I rather get you into something that is more of a need rather than a want. So the trends I've already mentioned are incredible, whether it's home service or wellness or senior home care. There's so many wonderful places to find a business and business services. So I'll help you with that. Number 6, simplicity of operations. You know, everybody tends to get overwhelmed in the process when you're doing anything new, whether it's beginning to work out for the first time in your life and losing some weight or getting into a business. It seems overwhelming. So simplicity is best, but not too simple. You don't want it to look like every other brand, but you want to feel like you can actually do this. A complicated restaurant with a giant menu and a huge amount of perishable inventory is certainly scary as heck, which is why I don't do a lot of deals in that type of industry, although my experience is restaurants, and a lot of them have been complicated. So there are a lot of franchises I consider to be pretty simple or easy to learn. And some of the factors we're looking at, I mentioned previously, is the size of the staff, the inventory perhaps. You know, even in the air conditioning business, you're not buying a million air conditioning units and storing them. There are distributors set up all over the country, so as you need it, you take it. Easy, right? So a lot of the systems you might not even understand, and that's part of understanding the process and what you're getting into. It's kind of like dating. If you're married, there's a lot of things you didn't know about your spouse, and now you do. Hopefully you love them all. I also did want to mention with ease of operations, some people do love home-based businesses. Some people love mobile businesses, mobile dog grooming, for example, and other people, based on their experience, want something brick and mortar. They feel like they need a place to go to work, whether it's a staffing business or a massage envy type concept. A lot of different options out there. So everybody's version of ease of operation or simplicity might be a little different. That's okay. And number 7, marketing. It's really about brand recognition and marketing support. A lot of my clientele ask me, Lance, how does this brand help me with marketing? How are they different from the other brands? And the answer is it really varies. Some brands have an in-house marketing department, which could have 50 to 100 people. And then other brands have an agency of record outside, and you get to use the materials that the in-house marketing team provides, and you have options when it comes to marketing. So depending on what you are looking for, all great franchise brands have a marketing plan for you that has worked for others. You might want a little more flexibility. Everybody's a little different, but marketing and customer acquisition is talked about all the time and is crucial to everyone getting off to a very fast start. That ramp up period, as I love to call it in the beginning, is most important. That's where you're burning some cash. That's part of the plan. You're investing in this sort of grand opening strategy, but marketing is incredibly important and something that is incredibly appealing, obviously, when done right. And before we get to the last one, I am a franchise broker. I have owned franchises for almost 30 years. I help people today. As a franchise broker, I work for you for free. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. And let's dive into number 8, values, alignment. Some people want a big company that's been around a long time. Forget about how many units they have open. They might have multiple franchise brands, authority brands, for example. They own 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, Mr. Sparky, which is an electrical brand, and Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. They did over $1 billion last year across those 3 brands. Very, very well established. Some people just want something from authority brands to dive into. So the values, I've had people that come and say, look, I don't want a company necessarily owned by a private equity group. I want to know the owner or founder of that brand. Well, Aaron Harper, Rolling Suds, Dan Claps, Voda, Stephen Montgomery, Resi Brands. They're young, aggressive, super smart owners that are still involved in those brands. Your values and your mission and your culture that you want to establish for your team and family might be better suited to a smaller brand. So that is a real option to consider. Those are real options and real consideration. Along with the values alignment is where that passion meets profit. And I mentioned earlier, are you into wellness? Or are you interested in the home service brands that I was just rattling off before that, or senior home care or business services, or a pet brand? That is also part of the values, not just the leadership of the brand you're considering, but the specific industry. So thanks for watching, and we shall talk soon.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.